Hello everyone. I It's been almost a year since I put up an update and I'm very sorry about that. I don't mean to do this, but every single one of my videos starts out like this, like, oh, it's been so long since I've shared a video, blah blah blah. Well, yeah. So I'm sorry. 2 kids is no joke, and I've been wanting to do a update video with Jax for this, well, since he's been born, and now he's asleep, or my husband is actually with him right now. There's so much to update. He's 10 months old now. My little miracle baby is 10 months old, and I just can't even believe it. Seriously. This time last year, I, was like 34 or so weeks, actually, probably closer to like 36. 35 weeks pregnant, I think. Anyway, doesn't matter. And I just can't believe how quick this year has gone by. Real quick, I will update. Some of you, like, we're friends on social media, so you already know all of this. But for those who don't and have seen my older videos, we did IVF for our daughter. We did 2 rounds of IVF, actually. Got pregnant with twins. Lost the second baby at just over 8 weeks. And we had my daughter, my beautiful little girl, in 2017. We ended up getting pregnant on our own in 2018 3 times. We had 2 chemical pregnancies, and then we got pregnant with my son. And that was a successful pregnancy. It was a great pregnancy. I mean, obviously, it was pregnancy, so it was rough, and we had a couple scares with subchorionic hemorrhage bleeding that ended up with me being in the ER because we didn't know what was going on, and then it followed up with bed rest, but that finally healed. Then had a totally great pregnancy until I got super sick with a stomach bug, which kind of pushed me into a preterm labor. They gave me a shot to stop the contractions and went on to be induced at 39 weeks on the craziest snow day of the year. It was February 6th of 2019. Craziest snow day ever. We didn't know if we were going to make it to the hospital. In fact, we were on the bottom of the list to be induced because I was just 39 weeks. I didn't, have any high blood pressure. I didn't have any other scares or reasons to be induced other than it was my second baby and they would induce me at 39 weeks. So I was not a high priority, but they had so many people call in saying that they weren't coming in because they couldn't make it to the hospital. The roads were absolutely wretched. They were horrible. We don't live that far from the hospital. It was only about a 10-15 minute drive. It still took us about an hour to get there because the snow and roads were so bad. It was just insane. It was such an insane day. On top of that, my little girl, Emery, was so sick. We have pictures of her. She had a horrible fever. She'd been sick for days. We thought she had croup. At first, well, I think she did have that, and then it turned into some kind of virus. We thought she was going to have the H1N1 flu. We got her tested for that because her cousins had it. Anyway, she ended up not having that, but it was the best day ever because we got to obviously meet our little boy, and that was so wonderful, but it was very hard because Emery couldn't come in and see him. The risk of him getting sick was just way too high. I just wanted to be with her, and we thought she was doing really well actually that day, and it wasn't until later that night after Jax had been born that she'd kind of gotten worse and was running at 102 fever and wasn't doing great. It was very hard. It was very hard on me. I couldn't wait to get home and just be home with my girl. I was so torn because I love the hospital stay and just the kind of being in this bliss of breastfeeding and you have your new baby, and it was just wonderful. But I had my sick girl at home, and I missed her like crazy, and I just felt like she was like didn't know what was going on, you know, but she was a trooper. She's very resilient. And by the time we got home, she, you know, we Lysoled the crap out of everything and kept Jax, you know, free and clear from the bug. I don't know how we did it, but we somehow did not catch what Emery had. And Jax and I were good. My labor was amazing. Seriously, they got us in. Once we got to the hospital, we got checked in. You know, they get you hooked up. They started my Pitocin around 9 or 10. I got an epidural. Again, just like last time, it was like, you can get one now, or you can wait 2 hours until after, you know, the anesthesiologist has a C-section scheduled, so I would have to wait till after that. I didn't want to risk it, so I got my epidural before. I want to say I got it around like probably noon. I need to look in my journal, but it was like 11 or 12. Got my epidural. I wasn't like progressing that much, you know, but things were okay. The contractions were starting to get pretty uncomfortable, so I was glad I got my epidural. And then they came and checked me, and she was like, okay, you're about like in, you know, 7 or so. It was like actually it wasn't even 7, it was like a 5 or 6. And she's like, if you just feel any pressure, just let us know. And then like, not even 30 minutes went by, and I was like, I'm feeling a lot of pressure. And the nurse came in and checked me, and girl was at a 10, and baby was down low. He was ready to come, so they hurried and got the doctor, got everything set up, and he came out in like 2 pushes. He was ready. He was here. Oh, it was so wonderful, and he was just beautiful and healthy and looked so different than his sister. So dang different. I will, at the end of the video, I'll put some pictures of him on that day. It was on his birthday. It was so great. And then I will also insert a few pictures from him, of his life, I guess, since you guys haven't seen any of those. But he is seriously just such a spunky, wonderful little kid. I was really, really scared about breastfeeding this time around because we had a really, really hard time with Emery and breastfeeding, with the lip tie and a low supply, and we had every hurdle to jump over with her, and I was really nervous for that this time around. You'll have to go see my other breastfeeding video if you want to see how well we did there. And I am done breastfeeding this time around. We stopped breastfeeding around 6.5 months completely. I just could not keep my supply up. I couldn't. It's just such a struggle with me. I don't know why. I paid lots and lots of money to have a lactation consultant, and you know, tried not to go on domperidone again, which is what I went on with Emery, to have somewhat of a supply, but Jackson was not gaining weight, and, you know, that's just unacceptable, so we had to start supplementing, and I have amazing, amazing sister-in-laws who donated breast milk because they had babies too. So Jackson he had breast milk. It wasn't always all me, but he did have breast milk, and sometimes had formula whenever we didn't have other breast milk to supplement. But there was, with the domperidone and every other, goat through and fenugreek and all these other things, I was able to breastfeed him about, I would say, like 70-30, 70% me, 30% supplementing, and we did that for a few months, but I was pumping after, like, every night when he was going to bed, trying to keep up my supply and all of this. It was just exhausting. And just like I did with Emery, I gained 20 pounds after giving birth. I'd lost about 20-25 pounds after I got home from the hospital. And then just trying to keep up my supply and the stress of breastfeeding and all that things, I gained it right back. And got up to the same, pretty close to what I was at when I went in and gave birth to Jack. So it's just really hard. Mentally, emotionally, physically, breastfeeding for me is very, very hard. And I give it my all. I take medications that are expensive and I have to order from another country. I eat everything I can that's supposed to help with breastfeeding, and I take expensive supplements, and it just gets to the point where the stress of breastfeeding is, outweighing the joy of my little baby. And so I decided at 5.5 months I was going to start weaning down, and I was going to breastfeed him when he wanted to breastfeed. And then if he didn't want to breastfeed, I wasn't going to pump. I wasn't going to, worry about my supply. I was going to wean off the domperidone. Honestly, it was the best decision ever. I did start keto when a ketogenic diet when I was done breastfeeding, to get my weight off, which I got all off. I'm only like less than 10 pounds away from where I was at when my pre-pregnancy weight with Jack. So I'm very happy with that. I'm down like 32 pounds from when I started, from I guess when I stopped breastfeeding, in like 4 months. So I'm very happy with that. I'm very happy with my decision to stop breastfeeding. I love breastfeeding, honestly. And the weight, I wouldn't even care about the weight. If I could fully breastfeed my child without having to supplement, without having to pump constantly after each feed to keep up my supply, to take all of these drugs to keep up, the weight wouldn't bother me because I know it'll come off when I'm done breastfeeding. But the combination of everything and the stress of it is just not good for me. And so switching over to formula, and obviously I did have a lot of donated breast milk, so he was on breast milk up until 6.5 months or so, and then now he's been on fully formula ever since, and he's done just fine. And my bonding with him is no less than it was with Emery. Even though I breastfed Emery longer, he is such a mama's boy. He wants me all the time. If I'm in the room with everybody else, he doesn't want anyone else. He wants me. He does fine if I'm not in the room. Like, he doesn't cry for me when I'm not there, but it's just when I am there, he wants me, and I don't mind that one bit. So as far as bonding goes, obviously we did have that first 6 months together to breastfeed, and I love that and cherish that, and took pictures of us all the time just because I did love breastfeeding, but it just didn't work out as much as I wanted it to. So anyway, that's the update with that. Yeah, so now we have a healthy, wonderful little boy. He's got 6 teeth. He's got his 4 top teeth and 2 bottom teeth. And he's just pulling up to stand all the time, and he's just such a joy. November was a hard month for him because he got a stomach bug, and then shortly after we ended up in the ER because he was screaming in pain and we didn't know why, and then later found out it was because he had developed a lactose intolerance from the stomach bug, so we had to switch him to soy for a little while, and then he got a sinus infection, and he was teething those 4 top teeth all within the last month. And so it's been kind of a rough month, and we're kind of recovering from that, but he's such a great sleeper. We started sleep training at 6 months, and within a couple of days he was sleeping through the night 12 to 14 hours, and he's had a few regressions, but for the most part he sleeps 12 hours minimum every single night. He's a great sleeper, and my only regret is not sleep training him sooner, because it is heaven putting him down and coming in here into our room and having like a few hours to just watch a show or hang out or do whatever before we go to bed. And it's just, I think we finally figured out our routine, and Emery and Jax are buds. They love each other. Emery wasn't totally sold on the idea of him when he first came home, but the last few months, she's, as he gets more mobile and more active, she really loves, paying attention to him, and whenever we leave, she's like, "Don't leave the baby." We won't leave the baby. So anyway, I think that's all I want to put up, or put in this video, just because it's already like 15 minutes long. But there's a quick update on my life. Hopefully I put up another video before the next year goes by. Anyway, if you have any questions, please, comment and I will answer them as soon as I can. But for everyone who is going through infertility, I know it sucks, but you will get through it, whether that is through adoption, through IVF, through fertility, surrogacy, whatever treatments, like, it will happen for you, I promise. And no matter how you become a parent, it is the best experience of your life. And when they're here and when you're parenting them and you get to see all of these amazing things that they're doing and growing, it just doesn't matter how they got here, whether it was through science or through adoption or fostering or whatever. So anyway, keep on keeping on, and I'll talk to you next time.